Good morning, everyone. We're going to be starting in a minute or so, 9:05. Get your cafecito, your pan, your little breakfast. All right, welcome everybody. Hold on, let me put on this. Stop this dang thing. All right, welcome everyone. Hopefully you're doing well. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here on this morning. Thank you for, joining us. There's a lot that you could be doing with your time, but you chose to be here with us. So thank you. So this is going to be our telling the stories of our communities in crisis, presented by MILPA, Motivating Individual Leadership for Public Advancement. My name is Rosaura, and I'm the communications coordinator at MILPA, and you'll get to know my colleagues later on. But I just want to pass the palabra to Patrick. He's going to talk a little bit about how he came into learning about MILPA and, the work that's being done in general. And so gracias, Patrick, to you for the opportunity, and also to the Children's Defense Fund for this opportunity, the Proctor Institute, Shannon, Janet, and just everyone who has put together this presentation and this webinar. So yeah, Patrick, go ahead.
Thank you. And I'm just so grateful that you all said yes to doing this. So if you are ready, knowing that it's 9 o'clock West Coast, 10 o'clock where I am, 12 o'clock East Coast, drop in the chat that you're ready to be here, that you are celebrating the gifts of MILPA and what they're bringing to us as a gift of their time and their spirit. And I just want to start with a couple things. One is being from Salinas, it's been an inspiration, a guiding light, a North Star, a hummingbird guiding my spirit, my people to see what MILPA has been doing back home, a place that I find sacred with with the youth, with elders, with healing, for those who are on the front lines. And so this is like a dream come true for me as someone who's got a lot of survivor's guilt about being out, to see these folks in action and share their wisdom, their knowledge, their traditions, their practices with all of you. So this is like from the bottom of my heart, this is one of those moments for me that I'm so grateful y'all said yes. And just to give you context for what Salinas is, I mean, I've said this a million times for those who've seen me, it's always ranked in the bottom 10 for Childhood Opportunity Index score. Salinas is one of the highest rates of incarceration, highest rates of gang violence in the country. And these folks right here are healing and providing ways to dream those big dreams that every child deserves to dream. So I am so grateful that they said, yes, thank you. Thank you. Like from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I love you all. I'm going to pass it back. And before I do, I just want to say to everyone, this is not easy work. It's heavy work. We are all sitting with loss and pain. And that to hold that spirit, that this is not just a sit down and watch a Netflix show. That we hope that we are able to sit with the pain, the love that the facilitator is going to bring to us, but also that you sit and be present with your own in this moment, and that we will hold this as a caring space, as a healing space, so that way we may join the world out of our little Zoom boxes, renewed for the work ahead. So welcome home, MILPA. It's so good to see you all. The mic's back yours.
Yeah, muchas gracias, Patrick. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to my colleagues Juan and Desiree to go ahead and introduce themselves.
Des, you want to go first? Sure, no problem. Hello, everybody. Good morning, Grand Risings. Desiree Rosas here. I'm the Programs and Leadership Assistant at MILPA.
Yeah, buenos dias, Tilmanam. My name is Juan Gomez. I'm the Executive Director and Co-Founder at MILPA. My PGPs are he, him, his, bro, él. I'm Chicano and also from the Tapilan Polytechnic Nation. Palabra.
Órale. And as I mentioned, my name is Rosaura Figueroa Mendoza. I'm the Communications Coordinator at MILPA, and I'm here in Hayward on Ohlone land. We're going to go ahead and get started with a little land acknowledgement. So if you can find, some quietness inside of you, just, if you want to close your eyes, whatever you wish. We pause to acknowledge Anahuac, the land between waters, or as people say, Turtle Island. We want to honor your ancestors and the fact that we sit on the land of the Esalen, Costanoan, Ohlone, or wherever you may find yourself, on whose home we are uninvited guests. We remember their connection to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to live, work, learn, and pray in their traditional homeland. Let us take a moment of silence to pay respect to their elders and to all of the indigenous people across the Western Hemisphere, past and present. And our statement for Black reparations, we affirm that Black Lives Matter. We stand in solidarity with the calls for reparations for Black communities across this country. And with that, I'll pass it back to Des for the 4 directions.
Yes, thank you so much, Rosada, for that. Yeah, so one thing that we like to do is to offer up medicine and call in our ancestors. And one way that we do that is by calling the 4 directions. So I'm gonna go ahead and offer up this medicine. This is sage that I'm gonna be burning today for us all today. So. Just offer up this medicine to our ancestors as we call them in today with our 4 directions. Okay. So we're going to start with the direction of the east, the direction of the men, the direction where the sun rises, the direction of precious knowledge. We want to honor all the men in our lives, whether they're with us, not with us, incarcerated, wherever they're at in their lives. We want to honor those men. Mateo. So we want to honor the direction of the west, the direction of the women, the direction of water, the direction of new beginnings. Want to honor all the women in our lives, wherever they're at in their lives, whether they're with us, not with us, incarcerated, healing, not healing, wherever they're at. We want to honor those women in our lives as well. Amadeo. Want to honor the direction of the south, the direction of the children, the direction of the earth, the direction of willingness, the direction of innocence. We want to honor those children wherever they're at. If we have children ourselves, or if they're just the children in our lives, honor all those beautiful children and the innocence that they bring into our lives. Honor the children who are currently in cages and send them love and light. Mateo. We want to honor the direction of the north, the direction of the elders, the direction of wisdom, the direction of the smoky mirror, of wind, of reflections. We want to honor our elders in our lives, whether they're with us or not with us, in spirit, all the wisdom that they bring into our lives. If they're sick, if they're not sick, wherever they're at in their lives, we want to honor them in a good way. Omateo. Want to honor our Father Sky, Tonatiuh, the cosmos, the energy that they bring. We are the star people. We're made of the same material as the stars. So want to honor the cosmos in that way, our Father Sky Tonatiuh. We'd like to honor our Mother Earth, Tonantzin, all the things, all the wonderful, bountiful things that she brings us. She lets us live on her, and we don't always treat her right, but acknowledging her and all the things that she brings, the shelter, the food, everything that our Mother Earth brings us. Omadeo. And last but not least, the omateo, the space in between. If you the intersection between genders, if you don't identify male, female, we have a space of the omateo, that duality, that intersectionality, and everything in between. Omateo. All my relations, tamo. And I'll go ahead and pass it to you, Rosario.
Yes, muchas gracias, Des, for leading us in the 4 directions. So we're going to continue being mindful, getting in the present moment. We're going to be doing a breathing exercise. Some of us may go on throughout the day and you don't even recognize, like, we take our breathing for granted. And so we want to be able to do that. And thank you, Juan, for providing the sound and just, again, getting us in touch with our senses. A lot of time we're just kind of running around and like, we're not even in our body, right? So it's important for us to focus on our breathing. Again, we want to focus on healing during this presentation. There's so much in the movement that causes so much trauma. We want to clear up any energy where we might have caused harm. We are asking for protection because we make ourselves vulnerable when we talk about justice. We become targets, right? Whether it's by the police, the FBI, whoever out there in the world that just doesn't agree with us and wants to come up to us on the street and just yell at us, right, for doing what we think is right. So I want to lead us in 4 deep breaths. So this first breath is going to be for ourselves. We're going to breathe in for 4 seconds and release for 4 seconds. So I guess I'll count down. 4, 3, 2, 1. This breath is for yourself. Take a deep breath in. And release for 4 seconds. All right, so this next breath is going to be for our inner child, that child that might have been hurt, traumatized, that just didn't know better, that couldn't protect themselves. Now hopefully you're an adult, you're able to protect yourself and protect the children around you. So again, this next breath is for our inner child. Take a deep breath in for 4 seconds. And release for 4 seconds. All right, so for this next breath, it's going to be for our family, our mothers, our fathers, whoever we consider father and mother figures, our children, our nieces, our nephews, our cousins, our tias, our tios. So 1 for our family. Take a deep breath in for 4 seconds. And release. All right, and so this final breath is going to be for our community, just all the communities that we serve, anyone who we consider in our community, in our circle, whether it's in our hometown or anywhere that we travel to, or conferences or virtually or whatever. So 1 for our community for this last one. So take a deep breath in for 4 seconds. And release. All right. So now we're going to do a little bit something different. Hopefully you enjoy it. I'm going to be singing to y'all because we need music in our lives. And it's important for us to get in touch with ourselves, our stories that are very important. And so let me pull up my little thing. So this song is called Atop the World. I wrote this just because there's a lot of pain that abounds, I believe, through the work that is being done. And so we need, this is my way of just kind of expressing myself. So let me just pull up my little thing here. So I hope you enjoy it. So I'm gonna start just playing this song here. When I think of us, I'm atop the world, galaxies beyond, far away from home. No more violence, no more shame. I am free and my people the same, enjoying existence, playing some games, carne asada, ignoring the lames, tocando chalino, time with the fam, talking and laughing, it's always a jam, no time for your pettiness, got shit to do, rather blast into space than listen to you. We've been here, but you don't see, cultivating by the sea, in the mountains and the fields. Why not let us be? When I think of us, I'm atop the world, galaxies beyond, far away from Earth. No more violence, no more shame. I am free and my people the same. No se agüiten, pasará este tiempo de maldad. A seguirle, no hay de otra. Las mujeres marcharán. Mexicanos, los amo. De nuestra sangre sanaremos. A seguirle, no hay de otra, pa'l espacio nos vamos. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for indulging me. It's what I love to do. So if I can give you a little bit of my story, it's always good. All right, so what we're gonna do now is a little bit of movement. Sometimes we're in the movement, but we don't do any physical movement. So we should probably do that. So we're gonna do a little bit of movement, and I'm gonna go ahead and play this song here so that we can go ahead and groove out. Give me 1 second, let me pull it up. So we're gonna listen to Be Thankful for What You've Got by William Devon.
In case you missed it,
And this is a David Todd
Get
remix.
up to 20%
Let's just
off
wait
Shark
for this
backing,
commercial
up
to
to 20%
pass.
off Ninja.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get up. You can turn off your camera if you wish. You can keep it on. We're gonna be standing up. We need to move. We're gonna go ahead and start with starting to roll our wrists. And you can do whatever you want. You don't have to follow along. As long as you're standing up, you're moving around, that's fine. We're gonna start with rolling our wrists. We're gonna roll our elbows, getting that movement going. We're gonna go ahead and reach up to the skies. Make sure you're breathing. You could do your little arm circles. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. You can move around, you can just dance too, you can groove, whatever you want. All right. And now we can do our hips, moving them around. Breathing, breathing. The whole time you can go ahead and turn it right around. Move it around town, move it around town. All right. You can go ahead and lift your legs, do whatever feels comfortable to you. You can go ahead and lift up, breathe. All right. Good. Do however many you can. You can go ahead and roll your actual, let me see, let me show you all my chanclas over here. We're rolling your ankles, taking turns, rolling one side. And then you can go ahead and turn around. All right, now you can go on to the next leg, rolling the ankle, rolling the ankle. And turn it around, do the other side. All right. Now you can just do some free dancing. I mean, do whatever you want. You can do really anything. That's the beautiful thing about movement. We have a lot of flexibility. And we were actually born to move. Our ancestors back in the day when they hunted, all that, you know, just moving it around, breathing, cracking, you know, your fingers, you know, if you feel comfortable cracking your neck, getting all that anxiety out. It's important to do that. It's important to, if you're involved in movement work, to also do movement. Because honestly, I don't know if people that don't do movement, I don't know how you do it. I get super anxious if I don't do something, so. All right. So we're gonna close it out with a couple more little, I guess, sun salutations. Just kind of like doing the whole bang, bang. And even just enjoying the music, right? Grooving, moving your body. All right. Well, thank y'all so much. Go ahead and finish your, whatever you're doing. Keep moving if you'd like. We're gonna bring it in. All right. Thank y'all so much for, thank you so much for connecting with us and being here with us again. And, you know, we try our best to make it fun, right? The work can be really difficult. So we want to make it as fun as possible for y'all. And so thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Des.
Yes, thank you so much, Rosada. I definitely needed that. Like, pump it up, get it. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much. With that being said, we're going to start getting into more of our conversation. So just want to give a little bit of disclaimers. We are not experts. We're just facilitating a process. We like to say, MILPA, like, we don't know nothing. We're coming at y'all very humbly, because we're not experts. We're just going through this movement just like everybody else, and using the tools that we have. So just wanted to say that much. We don't mean any harm, you know. Within the discussions that we're going to be having today, you might disagree with some of the things that we say. It might upset you, and that is definitely not our intention. So we just wanted to acknowledge that as well, and also apologize beforehand if we do, if that does happen. And yeah, so we wanted to ask for y'all's permission, permiso, to start. And the way we do that, just like, if I can get like a thumbs up or a verbal like, yes, we can start, or in the chat like, yes, we can start. One of the reasons why we do this is because, awesome, thank you so much. And definitely we'll be able to hold space for people who are not ready to move forward yet. Do we have the next slide? Okay. Awesome. Yes, one of the reasons why we do this is the approach that we have at MILPA. You know, a lot of the times people have been betrayed, trespassed, hurt, abused, never really asked for permission to do things in a lot of different spaces, right? Say you're at school or depending on where you work, a lot of the times they don't really ask like, hey, how are you doing? Can we move forward today? We really want to address that with the way that we are, our approach, having a relationship to life and each other, the way we work with each other, the community and the universe, right? So being able to start off in that way and get everybody's permiso before we go into our conversations today. And it looks like everybody's ready to go. Thank you so much for those of you who answered in the chat and the thumbs up. And yes, I think I'm not seeing any no's, so we can go ahead and move forward. Thank you all so much. And I'll go ahead and pass it to you, Rosaura.
Yes, muchas gracias, Des. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move forward to the next slide, and we're going to be talking about symbolism and being able to decolonize. It's important for us to be able to tap into our cultural roots and to be able to be exposed to what our ancestors left behind, right? Unfortunately, there was a lot of codices, libraries that were burnt down, right, during colonization, and it's still ongoing in some form or another. There's just the destruction of our indigenous cultura, but it's important for us to be able to reach back and get in touch with ourselves through the symbolism, because we're able to again connect visually to what our ancestors left behind for us to understand more about ourselves, more about our roots. It can help explain like our family and just the histories that a lot of times like we may not be aware of. And so if you can go ahead and move to the next slide. And just shout out to Kaylin Figueroa, our media intern, who's actually controlling the slides. And thank you so much. So signs and symbols. So you may or may not have seen this logo before. It's our beautiful logo for MILPA, Motivating Individual Leadership for Public Advancement. So I'm going to go ahead and explain. You may or may not know what is on the logo. What is the significance of these different symbols? So if you go ahead and see these, the 4 dots that surround, those are the 4 directions. We want to be able to honor the 4 directions. Des took us through the 4 directions. Again, being able to honor the east, west, south, and north, the Father Sky, Tonantzin, and Ometeo. But of course, the 4 directions is what is depicted here, but it still carries the spirit of being able to live in conjunction and in harmony with the rest of nature, right? We're part of the ecosystem. And so from there, you'll see Tlatlicutli, who has actually her hands holding the balance of the earth and the universe. She is our Aztec earth monster who has, again, her arms balancing, and her legs are actually splayed to give and receive life. And then we have up here Atlachinoli, or fire water. When water and fire meet, vapor is created, which is a light substance that ascends and possesses a high frequency vibration. In the sweat lodge, and again, this is why sweat is so important for us in our indigenous cultura, there is a reconciliation of water and fire as they unite. The Atlachinoli manifests in a splendid form, and everything in its vicinity rises. So it's our form of spirituality, our form of letting go of our baggages and being able to tap into the real part of ourselves and not getting carried away and being hijacked by all the emotions, all the trauma, all the hurt, all the pain that our people have gone through. And so finally, in the center, we have our milpa, the corn, in the center. So corn is an integral part of the Mesoamerican indigenous diet. There's a variety of colors. And the actual maize can be used for tamales, tortillas, and just generally, it's an important form of sustenance. Milpa also refers to the crop growing system where corn, beans, and squash are sown together because they help cultivate each other. They help each other grow. And so in the same way, our organization Milpa mirrors this system of crop growth because our tenets of culture, consciousness, and movement building, they feed into each other to build leaders in Salinas, Monterey County, and beyond. I'm in Hayward, and I was touched by the Milpa, right? And then we have other people that are like in Texas and South Carolina, right? So again, it's important for us to be able to tap in to culture, consciousness, and movement building for our own, leadership capacity. And corn follows a natural process of growth. We can see ourselves reflected in this cycle because we as humans are interconnected from nature. We are not divorced from nature. We are not better than nature. We are nature. And so it is important to have that balance with the animals, with the plants, with all the living creatures, right? And finally, signs and symbolism is important for us because, again, this cultural imagery can draw in folks that, there's like a remembering that happens, right? Because a lot of us are not taught that we are indigenous. We're just like, oh, you're Mexican, or just like you're Spanish or whatever. But like, I, for example, don't have any connection. Like, I can't tell you this is what tribe I'm from, right? I'm in the process of reclaiming. And that's only happened in the last year and 5 months that I've been at MILPA. So you can imagine how much pain there is associated with like, man, like, I don't even know my indigenous lineage, right? Like, because colonization has won in that way, which is a 500-year war that has just continued to this day, right? But I want to leave y'all with just a final thing that I know, something that Desiree shared one time, even before she started working at MILPA, was that she's seen a flyer. She's like, I don't really understand like what this is or what program or what, but like even just the imagery like stood out. And I know I want to be a part of that, right? And so I know I felt something similar when I first saw the MILPA website of like, I don't know like what they do exactly, but like, this is cool. Like, I want to be part of this, right? And so thank you so much for just, hopefully you are able to recall at least one piece of information the next time you see the logo. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's MILPA. But regardless, thank you so much for your time. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Des.
Yes, thank you so much. And actually, true story, yes. Years before I started working at MILPA, I came across one of their flyers and I was like, what is this? I want to be a part of this. Feels, similar to my heart. I was like, yes, this is something that I need to look into. So, and look at where I'm at now, sharing space with you wonderful people. Yes. So we have the fire up right now. So we're inviting y'all to circle up with us. Usually if we were in person, we would actually, circle up and sit in circle, but we're all virtual here today. So we're gonna go ahead and do a virtual circle around the fire, inviting y'all to join us and circle up with us today around this symbolic fire, wherever you're at. Yeah, so circling up for Black and Brown folks, it's a part of our culture. And in the past, circling up was actually something very dangerous for us. It put us in a position to have repercussions or even be killed. They tried to kill our culture, and here we are today, circling up around the fire and honoring our ancestors in that way. And the reason why we're circling up around the fire today is we want to get y'all's names, your PGPs, and where you like, what org are you representing? And if y'all can just share it in the chat really quick. I don't know if within the beginning, some people already did some introductions, but it would be nice to have introductions, your PGP, and what org do you represent today? And we'll have that in the chat if y'all don't mind. And also, while we're doing that, while everybody's answering within the chat, introducing themselves, we can go ahead and think of this question as well. So, and if we can have like about, I don't know, how many people do we have here today? Okay, so we'll go ahead and have like about 3 to 5 people answer this question just to save time. Want to leave space for my other colleagues and what they got to say too. So we'll go ahead and just think of this question. So what types of challenges can you anticipate dealing with as we come back from the pandemic? So people who are not currently in their office workspaces, if they're still working from home, obviously we have a lot of people here today virtually, potentially doing a lot of their work from home. So what types of challenges can you anticipate dealing with as we come back from this pandemic? And if we can have this question potentially put in the chat, and like I said, 3 to 5 people, whoever feels comfortable answering this question, go ahead and feel free to answer. How, yeah. Would it be like someone raises their hand potentially? I don't know how. I believe sound wise, people got to be unmuted. So.
Yeah, folks, so if you would like to share, feel free to unmute yourself, and I'm sure that Washira, who is helping us with tech support, can help unmute you, so you can go ahead and jump in.
Also, thank you so much for everybody who's sharing their information in the chat. Thank you for sharing space and circling around the fire with us today. I believe we got somebody raising their hand. Maria?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Maria. I work for the Children's Defense Fund New York office. And so I work with our young people through the Be the Odds program. And definitely a challenge that I anticipate is we start working with young people during their sophomore years. And so that means that this cohort that we just recruited, they only have had 3 months of in-person, well, roughly 4 months of in-person learning before they had to jump into online learning. And so I really anticipate young people, especially this cohort, struggling to like go back to interacting in person, not only learning in person, but also like just like that social, integrating socially again with their peers. And in connection to that, I also anticipate the college application process for it to look drastically different for this cohort. We've already seen many schools no longer accepting or waiving the SAT scores, and so it just feels like a lot. It's uncertain, a lot. It's up in the air, and we definitely anticipate having a lot of challenges supporting our youth through this process.
Thank you so much, Maria. That is definitely a challenge. I can see that. Do we have anybody else that might want to go ahead and share as well? And if not, that's fine too. Definitely don't. Okay, we have somebody's.
Good morning, I'm Saida with CDF here in California, and just building on what Maria shared, I also work with young people, and one of the challenges that I foresee is, I know that a lot of our young people stepped in to provide childcare or care for their younger siblings while parents went out to work because they were homeschooling. And I think as the school systems reopen, we're going to see, I think, just a lot of gaps in families as a result of just that process of schools reopening and youth going back to school, as well as a lot of young people stepped into work to provide for their families. And so I have concerns again about the gaps in the increase in needs that our lower income or poor families will be experiencing.
Thank you, Saida. Do we have maybe one more person that might want to go ahead and share what challenges they think they might be facing? And if not, that's fine too. We can go ahead and, if we don't have any other people who would like to share, we can go ahead and move forward. Those are definitely some real challenges. Oh, we got Kaylin.
Hello, yes. I anticipate folks to their social batteries be very low just because like we've been stuck inside of like our little bubbles, and then going out into the world, it might be like, okay, well now it's time for me to chill. So it might be very weird being out in the world and then just like not being able to move forward or just wanting to go back into your little bubble. So that's what I anticipate.
Yeah, we can go ahead and close it off there. Thank you so much for the people who went ahead and answered this question for us. Those are definitely some very real challenges that many people are going to be facing. So I'm hoping that we all have the resources that we need, and to be able to take care of ourselves and move forward in a good way, and to be able to potentially, if we have the capacity to be those people that assist with these kinds of challenges for folks, right? I'm like, I can't see anybody, but I'm hoping everybody can hear me. But yes, with that being said, we can go ahead and move forward, and I'll go ahead and pass it on to the brother Juan.
Okay, cool. And can I get the next slide, please? So W.B. Du Bois, he's a very famous scholar, freedom fighter. Many in the movement have looked to his writings for inspiration, guidance. Much of it was done over 100 years ago. Many of his writings came after he was 80 years old. A lot of people may not know that W.B. Du Bois was actually raised in like an artsy kind of middle class northern town. But at some point in time, they sent him on some type of summer trip down south. And there he realized, holy crap, the conditions of our people, of Black people, and how they were being treated. And that's where he said, hell nah. So he came back, and I imagine, reading between the lines, he made a vow, and made this kind of a crusade, not just for himself, for the liberation ultimately of our people. And so I just want to kind of give that breakdown of him. It's a piece of history that a lot of people don't know. They might reference his book, Soul of Black Folks, or others, right? But there's a lot of scholarship in what he did. And he posed a couple of questions over 100 years ago. Can you switch it, please? And, oftentimes when young people, or even people coming back from incarceration, or sometimes just being enthusiastic and wanting to get involved in the movement, there isn't an orientation necessarily for them. There may not even be a space for them to be able to cultivate a political analysis that's comprehensive, that is principled and disciplined, yet allows for them to just be themselves and heal and also enjoy life. So there's a couple of questions that W.B. Du Bois posed. Actually, there's like 4 of them. If you can put them all down. And these questions, you can find them in The Ordeal of Monsart. Anyhow, I like to open up the screen, right, to different individuals. And if you can take the first question, read it out loud, and share a little bit of what does that mean to you, and what does that mean to us, like in the movement, from your perspective, right? So we kind of wanted to open it up and just have a little bit of, just kind of like political rifting, Anyway, please raise your hand. I can't see nobody, so. Yeah, can folks hear me? Okay, so since folks are being shy, what does integrity do in the face of oppression? This is a really hard one, because sometimes we get stuck sometimes, often, and history likes to pit us against each other, versus like violent versus non-violent, armed resistance versus by all means necessary, and showing humanly love. But at the end of the day, is oftentimes it's when you hold your integrity, it ain't gonna be popular sometimes, but we have to come to a place of our values and hold it down. And if not, you're gonna falter for many things. But the face of oppression, it's like it changes mask all the time. It shifts through generation, it shifts through different ages, it shifts through cultures, it shifts through geography, it shifts through political apparatuses, right? So that's what does it do in the face of oppression? You go back to your values, you go back to your people, you go back to your counsel, right? The next one, what does honesty do in the face of deception? Think about for yourself, have you ever been deceived? Have you ever gone and joined a coalition and next thing you know, you're like, holy, this is not exactly what I thought this was gonna be. There's some shenanigans here. Sometimes you go into a place and you think you're all on the same page. And at the end of the day, you find out like, wow, there's individuals here that are hella like vanilla, and they may or may not actually be willing, able, or interested in kind of fighting for freedom. They might be interested just in themselves and their profit and their empire building in their organization and the grant that they might get, right? So.
And we do have Saida that raised her hand as well. So Saida, if at any point you would like to jump in.
Yeah, I can't. So I apologize, folks, because I can't see if you've actually raised your hand. So please, like I said, I don't want to be up here freaking lecturing and stuff like that. This is like, yeah, we wanted to have you chime in. So Saida.
Saida, hi Juan. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I was just thinking of this question, the first question on integrity in the face of oppression, and the many times that when you work in policy advocacy research, that is that presents itself, whether it be in negotiations and legislation, and you're often finding yourself negotiating against your own interests and your community's interests, because we are made to believe that that's the best we can get in this very moment. And so if we don't take it, then that opportunity is lost. And so it takes a lot of work, I think, to maintain that integrity, because there's also this accountability, right? That you're accountable to a group of individuals, be it youth, children, families, whoever may be most impacted by that piece of policy. And it's a tough place that I think, but it's also, I think, quite common and always present when we're doing this work. So thank you for bringing up that question.
Okay, Patrick, I think raised his hand.
Yeah, picking up that last question, how does virtue face brute force? I mean, I think about this in terms of funerals. When I go to funerals and, we're thinking about young people who go too early, and the I guess just overwhelming pain that goes along with that, and saying the conditions shouldn't be this way that they do. I also think about, I don't know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago, but like when a billionaire shoots a penis rocket into the freaking sky and spends all that money. And I think about what we're all doing together on this call about funding. I mean, it's like literally brute force. He's just pissing money away down the drain. He could be solving childhood poverty, could be solving people experiencing homelessness, the pains of our community. I think about that as brute force as well. Like these systems that are celebrated that are so stupid. Like, does he not have a marketing team that said, like, look, dude, we should do a different design here. You shouldn't do this. Like, fund something else. Anyways, I think about that virtue. How do we stand as a people, as a movement, in the face of those things that are these systems that are so overwhelming and literally they're killing our people?
Yep. I mean, in many ways, it's almost biblical, right? We knew this was going to happen. You knew they were going to release the demon, racism, white supremacy, all that. Anyone else want to chime in? Okay, Sharon Robinson. Choose your own adventure here.
The question that I wanted to respond to was, what does integrity do in the face of oppression? In the face of oppression, integrity means we don't stand still, we don't be quiet, we continue to speak our truth. That's integrity. You know, we continue to point to the things that are unfair, unrealistic for Black and brown people, Black, brown, and red people. We continue to press forward, and we just don't turn back, no matter what. And when I think about the former civil rights leaders, the ones who have stood up, they were willing to be to not be quiet about what they saw that was wrong, even to some of them's death, like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. They were willing to stand for something and to stand for us. That's integrity, as far as I can, what I see. I may not be chiming in with some of the other people, but that's the way I see it. It just does not allow us to stand still and be quiet. Thanks.
Powerful. Anyone else?
Leah, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, just to add on what Sharon was saying, because when I look at integrity, I see it in a way that thinking of the community within myself. And when I think of the community within myself, I see that aspect of how wholeness or broken I feel for my community. And so in this case, what integrity will do in the face of oppression is not being silent, or not just being there and not doing something. If I'm seeing the oppression and deep down I believe that this is not what should be happening, this is not spiritually and morally right. And so to me, when it comes to integrity in the face of oppression, it speaks first to the individual, to the person, to the inner me, asking like, okay, what's my take in this? And what do I think about this? And if I'm able to think that and about the community within me, then I'm able to do something towards the oppression that I'm seeing. But if that is not there, then I won't have that power to speak against the oppression that is going. But if I have that within me, then I have that energy and power to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think there's a couple of participants. I'm not. Raise your hand.
Hi, this is Dominique. I think I got unmuted. Is that right?
Yeah.
Am I unmuted? I can't. Okay. I think just in thinking about the first question about what integrity does, I'm reading the title is Knowing Your Power. And I think if we, as a movement and any collective we do, whether individual project, I think I'm one specifically in the legislature, if we work with integrity and stay together, we begin to know our power and we build our power, because the systems that are oppressive, I think someone mentioned it before, it might have been you, Juan, always talk about and always work to divide us. And when they divide us, they win. So if we stay and keep our integrity to each other and stay accountable to each other, we build up our power and move us forward and make us stronger. And so it gets us to know in the minds of our power.
Thank you so much. We're going to be moving on to breakout groups, because we want individuals to have a little bit of an intimate conversation about this. These questions right here, it's a whole lifetime. This is ancestral work. This is future work. This is now work, right? But this is what we expose our young people and anybody that's coming to our office. This is the type of training that we go through, so they understand this is serious. This is life or death type of stuff here. This is not just little slogans and trying to be cool and rah, rah, rah. Like, this is about our health and well-being. So like I said, there's whole workshops, whole day sessions on this. We can be in a whole retreat, you know, but this type of work is for the long march. So we're gonna break you up into different breakout groups. And if you can just kind of say like riff on it, like, what does this mean to you? Like, how is this showing up in your body? How is this, how does this show up in the movement? We have to kind of develop movement forensics, right? Like a psychocultural analysis of like, what's really happening when we are going up against power, when we're with each other, right? Oftentimes it's easy to go into oppression Olympics and forget like, oh, what about white supremacy here? What about white silence and power and fragility, right? So we're gonna go ahead and break you out into groups. When you come back, be prepared to share a little bit of what your team talked about. But what is one question that you think one or two questions that the movement, wherever you're at in it, should be asking itself, right? Like what type of questions should, as a movement, we think about as we're moving forward?
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much, Sharon. You were sharing in our breakout rooms. Apologies if anybody was cut off, if y'all were speaking and were brought back, but thank you so much for your words and just your continued work in the community. So if Juan, whenever you're ready, feel free to go ahead and step in.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, so what we want to do is ask a member of each group to just kind of riff a little bit, take 1 or 2 minutes around the general, some of the questions that came up and or some of the reflections that came up. But like I said, this is also, we have like a little bit of a grid just in case you get like screen fright or anxiety at, you know, in the moment. So this can be like a guide for you. Yeah, we kind of want to hear what's happening in the groups, what's happening in your settings. So if we're gonna pick a group, I'm not even like Rosada, or like I said, I can't see which groups are. Is it like 1, 2, 3, 4? We'll just do random, like group 3, whoever was in group 3. We're calling you in.
Yeah, for sure. If I can bring up folks that were in my group. Thank you, Diana, Sharon, Angelica for sharing. Anybody else in the group that didn't share, feel free to go ahead and jump in on your reflection. And I guess I could share a little bit about what was being said in the group. So Sharon was sharing about how there's a teacher that's suing the city where she works because the teacher doesn't want to take racial, just like racial, whether it's like sensitivity or just being mindful of race. And this teacher's just not having it and like is just like suing people. Diana talked about, just like, how do you maintain decency when you're being slapped in the face, like legislatively, right? Like you're trying to push something that's going to help the community and, people are just like, don't care. And I know Angelica was sharing about like just engaging in truth telling with parents, and that could be really difficult just in general. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So anybody else in the group that I was facilitating, feel free to jump in if there's any other reflections that I missed. Yeah, Erica, go ahead.
Hi, so one of the things, I was just having a conversation this morning with someone about the whole issue of critical race theory and providing the actual history for the Black and brown people. And what pisses me off and what I really struggle with is, why are we having to ask for permission so that we can share our heritage, what little of it that we know that hasn't been erased in our cultures, with our children and our future children's children? So to that I say, you know what, let us learn the history and start teaching it in the kitchens, on grandma's porch, in the basement, at the church. We need to do whatever we can do to get this information to our children, because it's really hard to advocate for something when you don't have the full story. So I'm saying, let's not ask for permission. Let's just figure out how we can do it and start doing it. And there goes that solidarity, right? And that's us living in our truth. And that's us just sharing the beauty of all the strength that we come from. Our ancestors didn't ask for permission. So why are we?
Thank you. Group 2.
If I could be honest, I don't know what group I was in. Am I group 2?
You can just share it.
Okay, that's fine. Yes. So I don't know, for the people that were in my group, if you wanted to share out, I know we had was a Shaniqua or Reverend Jenkins, or potentially Tiffany, one of the people that spoke out in our group. If you would like to just reiterate some of the things that you had said, you know, regarding the questions and how they relate to your work. And you can go ahead and raise your hand so you can get unmuted if you would like.
So again, thank you for the work that you all are doing. And I was just saying to the colleagues, the group that I was in, most folks were dialoguing about this integrity question regarding in the face of opposition. And I was saying to our group that we need to understand that integrity is a personal attribute that's been given to us by God, and that we should not allow anyone, no matter what the circumstance or situation may occur within life's journey, we should not even allow anyone to move us out of our comfort zone when it comes down to integrity. And I was saying to my group that I take it very personal, because again, integrity is something that God has gifted me with, and that I'm going to continue to flow with it, you know, based on the work that I do. And I serve 2 different churches, and 2 different groups of people, cross-cultural, cross-racial. However, I still have to continue to do what God has called me to do in terms of my integrity. So my last thing I'll say before someone else jumps in, I was saying to Desiree how, you know, I'm meditating on these 4 questions, and I'm sitting here pondering like, okay, Lord, am I doing this work or not? But then after a while, I'm like, I'm already doing this work, but had no idea or clue how these questions were defined based on the work that I have already been exposed to. So thank you for giving me some insight.
Yeah, no, thank you, Reverend. I appreciate that. And because of time and because of just the richness of the conversation, we are going to ask you if it's okay we move on to the next section, right? Because once again, this is a life course right there. Those questions, I mean, some of you, like I said, we just described a little bit of your life, a day in, right, of service, you know. So we can move on to the next section, because what happens oftentimes, a lot of people in our movement get isolated. They get drowned into the work. So these type of questions, this type of assault, this type of oppression, deception, insult, brutality stays stuck, because you hear it, you see it, you feel it, you're thinking about it. So this starts showing up. It starts coming out as kind of a vicarious trauma, right? And so it starts lodging into your body. So if we can move it on to the next section, por favor. And I guess this is the whole thing of like empowerment, and that's in your mind, but the embodiment of your heart, right? And making sure that we have a balance in all that. So there's a little thing that we like to talk about, as the 13 wins, right? Like, you might be really cool. You woke up, you know, got your coffee or tea, or you did your yoga, or you did your prayer, or, you know what I'm saying, you mopped the floor, you know, whatever it might be, went for a walk, and everything was good. But all of a sudden, you got that text message, you got that call, you read that article, you saw the news, whatever it might be. So all of a sudden you start getting zapped. And that's just at 6 a.m. And then throughout the day, you're in a meeting. Someone just got killed. You're in a meeting, and someone was raped. You're in a meeting, or someone on your staff it's gone missing, right? We experience different things. One of them is trauma, susto. The other one is supernatural fear, right? Fear itself. Fear can paralyze you. Sadness, anger, jealousy. Some people don't want you to be successful. Resentment, sorrow, egotism, which gets often too much in the way of one's ego, actually, right? Envy, shame, guilt, and anguish. These 13 winds are the different joints that connect you in your neck, your shoulders, your elbows, your wrist, your kind of hip pelvic area, your kneecaps, the ankles and your feet, right? There's a whole kind of like cosmology and arithmetic to this kind of philosophy. Once again, this philosophy, different cultures call it different things. You just have to read about it. You got to study. The same way I've known you study the Bible, but there's also other avenues that only kind of even, how can I say it, make the kingdom even more relevant. You know what I'm saying? Because you understand, oh, there's different things that are at play here. You know what I'm saying? And we got to pay attention. So stress and emotions, the conversations, the dialogue, our stewardship, our leadership, our allyship, our followership, our fellowship. Wow, that's a lot. So what happens, you have different organs in your body. Health outcomes in the movement are horrendous. You hear it. People burn out. They're exhausted. They're tired. They have mental health breaks. Sometimes heart problems. It's exacerbated by the constant demand on our bodies and on our attention and on our families and on ourselves. Shit, it even impacts one's freaking sexuality, right? I mean, when you're in fear, when you have all this, you can't be intimate, you're not thinking about nothing. A lot of times, some of you, I know myself, you're up to like 1 a.m, then up at 5 a.m. You have a deadline. But what happens is in your brain, you can develop this chronic stress. It's in your freaking mind. I'll be honest, on myself, I suffer from what I call white rage. And the only thing that really helps is I got to listen to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, you know what I mean? And others to be like, nah, this is what white supremacy does. It has you all freaking going at it. You can experience it in your mouth. When you don't feel safe, when you don't feel comfortable, sometimes you stutter. The words can't come out. But when you're own people, man, you're all, you're fly, everything. You're feeling a prophetic fire to the T. But like I said, when it's not safe, your spirit knows. Your spirit knows, right? Like I said, there's a lot of in your digestive tract, right? Some of us, we rather hold it than actually go relieve ourselves because we want to be on Zoom, right? Like I said, there's a lot of different things that get lodged in our body, and we wonder. The other day, about a week and a half ago, I met up with the sister. We went on a walk on the beach. And I noticed that this individual was walking very slow. And I'm a fast walker, right? Like I have anxiety like that. And I'm like, boom. So I kind of slowed down. But I noticed that within the block, this individual was huffing and puffing. And then out of nowhere, they said, Juan, I have to tell you, I was a walking time bomb. I went to the doctor and I was asymptomatic. My thyroid had gone out of whack, all these different ailments. I thought it was like, oh, I'm just COVID and it's got a little bit, fuller and richer, but it wasn't. And my doctor told me that I'm a walking time bomb. So I need to be walking. And so to me, I was like, wow, you know, and then share a little bit of the stories of how she's experiencing anti-Blackness in her work with people of color, right? And I was like, holy crap. I was like, yeah, this is real. I said, but we have to take care of each other, you know? So like I said, I mean, this is just, once again, I'm not a doctor. We don't know nothing, but we have seen and experienced it. So I'd like to open up the floor to some of you. Maybe you have an experience that you can share. Been in the work, and next thing you know, it's Friday, and you're like a zombie. You can't even get out of bed. You're there for about a day and a half, and you're just like, man. So anyhow.
Yes, as much as we'd like to hear from folks, it is 10:26. We want to be mindful of your time, and we still have a little bit more with our presentation. So if you wanted to put something in the chat, feel free to do so. But thank you, Juan. And if it's okay with y'all, we can pass it on to Des.
Yeah. Yes, we definitely want to hear your answers in the chat. Please feel free to share. So yeah, with that being said, I can go ahead and go into our rites of passage work. And, you know, just a segue between the two is the rites of passage work that we do. A lot of the times we're addressing these symptoms, these ailments that we have with the 13 winds that we carry within ourselves, to be able to heal ourselves, to be able to heal our communities, and just the collective in general, right? Because when you're healing yourself, you're healing the collective. So we do a lot of different types of programs. Like it says here, the rites of passage work that we do, a lot of them are targeted towards youth, but some of them are actually for adults as well. So I can go ahead and share a little bit about some of the groups that we have. We have She Naturally. She Naturally is a 12-week curriculum for young women. It's a young women's rites of passage group. It's a healing space, and it's rooted in culture and social emotional development. And so that one is actually for youth. I believe we have an age limit on that one as well. We have our Joven Noble. Joven Noble is a 10-week curriculum that was put together by the National Compadres Network that we work closely with. And that's also culturally relevant. A lot of, pretty much all of our groups are culturally relevant, you know, reclaiming that culture that has been taken from us. So for Joven Noble, they work on, it's also a rites of passage group as well, and they work on character development. That one is for both young men and young women. That's an open space for anybody. Terpochcali, which is a Nahuatl word for House of Youth, and that is a 12-week curriculum as well. It's a youth leadership academy, actually, and that one focuses on culture, consciousness, and movement building, which is our Tres Hermanas for MILPA. So we definitely want to incorporate those into that teaching as well. We have our Yala group. We have the image up here, Young Adelitas Liberation Academy. That is a 10-week curriculum. It's also focuses on culture, consciousness, and movement building, but this one is for our young ladies, 16 to 24 years old, young women of color, who are interested in developing their ethno-political identity and movement leadership skills, while also engaging in cultural healing as well. So we always want to incorporate our culture within any one of our groups that we have at MILPA. We have recently put together a Mujeres Círculo. So this is for all women of ages 25 to 60 plus years old to share space with one another and have healthy conversations about relationships, sexuality, life hacks, culture, and common circumstances that affect our daily lives, and a lot more. And we're coming up on time, so I just got a couple more things. So we have our men's círculo. That's a space for our men to talk about, it says a space for intergenerational discourse around the circumstances and conditions affecting our lives. These conversations range from culture, rites of passage, music, politics, school navigation, life hacks, intimate partner violence, and many more things. It's a space for our men to get together and heal as well. And this is all just in, like I said, that healing, reclaiming our culture. So yes, thank you so much, everybody. We can go ahead and close out. Oh.
Yeah, we want to thank everybody. Like I said, even though these are our programs, you have that in your heart, in your lineage, in your families, in your communities, in your churches, with your faith leaders, right? With grandma, grandpa, sometimes even with the youth. You know, you have all those at your disposal. You just got to ask and open yourself up to potential and go beyond. So, muchas gracias, Ashe. You know, and onward. Love y'all. Take care. Be safe. Stay healthy.
Right. Peace out, y'all. Juan, did you still want to close out with the song? We're going to do a song for y'all. Unless he left already. Okay, he did. All right, y'all. Well, peace out. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Feel free to reach
Thank
out
you
to
all
us.
so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Peace.